So Kirk, I'd say who you are for me is strong, steady, like reliable, committed support in leadership development, in life in general. You actually taught me the meaning of friendship. And thanks to that, I have an amazing relationship. Because friendship, of course, comes first. And I can't tell you how honored and grateful I am to have you here. And 20 years of leadership development and transformational conversation. Give it up for the Dragon Slayer himself, Kirk McDow.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You'll notice you have a 2-page handout. Just make sure you have that.
I said one.
You just have one. There's a page 1 and a page 2. It's just this is on the way, I have no doubt. And you'll want a pen. This will be highly interactive. I recommend take a moment and read over the worksheet.
Raise your hand if you need a pen first. And is anyone missing the would be one or both pages? Shout vociferously if you are missing one or both pages of the agenda.
Okay, so just take a moment, look over the worksheet so the contents of the worksheet are not distracting you. Take a minute. And then when you're done with that, turn it over so that you're looking at the back of page 1.
If anyone needs something to write on, I have these lovely magazines.
With lovely magazines to write on, I think
it
will be useful for some of us.
This is an interesting kind of paper, by the way.
Yeah, like the one, you know.
25% count.
Thank you for noticing the paper. That was a big deal this morning.
I know.
Nice texture, right? Brain feel.
Oh, wow, that wasn't quite the attempt.
Resume, man.
Resume.
Good stuff.
Also has a certain smell.
All right, so turn it over so you're looking at the back of page 1, and I'm going to say a word. And what I want you to do is just free associate and write down whatever's there for you when I say the word. Are you ready?
Yes.
Leadership. Just write down whatever's there for you. 3 or 4 words, a sentence or 2. It doesn't have to be just whatever's right there for you. Whatever's there immediately, automatically. And when you're done, look up, and I'll go on to the next step. An old Cherokee teaching his grandson about life. A fight is going on inside of me, he said to the boy. It is a terrible fight between 2 wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, self-pride, superiority, and ego. He continued. The other one is good. The other wolf is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside of you, grandson, and inside of me, and inside of every other person too. The grandson thought about this for a moment. Grandfather, who will win? The one you feed. I have a vision for leadership. See, I've noticed that a lot of people get up in the morning and they do what they do, and they're exhausted by the end of the day. And doing what they did provided very little for them. Very little inspiration, very little joy, very little forward movement in their life. In other words, I observe often with people, we get up and we do the things that we did the day before, and we're only really doing them because we didn't die the night before. We didn't die in our sleep, so here we are the next day. I observe that people spend their entire lives living someone else's dream. I observe that even the people who win the game of comfort, power, and reputation, making a lot of money, being well known and liked and so forth, people even win that game and they die miserably. I observe. So there's something else going on. I also observe myself being a member of many teams, high level, Some of them very high level, very big games, a lot of training involved, very subtle, very deep, very high level. And being on those teams, there are leaders. There were leaders. And many of those leaders were highly trained, highly committed, and yet something was missing to have the team thrive, enjoy being there, operate at their best, operate at their top performance, to win the game that they're playing. I observe most people don't take the time to say or create who they are. Right? You ask somebody who they are. Oh, I'm from New Orleans. This is what I do for a living. This is what I do for hobbies. This is my history. This is my family. This is my religion. This is my culture. This is my geographic whatever. And then that's the answer to who you are. But that was just the hand of cards you got dealt. Do you know what I mean? That's not really quite the same as finding or creating your highest resonance and choose who you are or create who you are. Create something that would literally inspire you. Create something that would make it all worthwhile. From there, you could create a why. I say what happens before the why is the who. Who are you? Where do you even look to answer such a ridiculous question? Do you look to the past? Do you look to the current moment? Do you look to the future? Do you look to your accomplishments? Do you look to what other people say about you? See, I have a vision that you and you and you and you and you and you and every single person in this room, especially if you think I'm not talking to you, has the opportunity to dig in and create a who you are that literally lights you up. From there, you could start to play around with the questions like, why? Why am I up in the morning? Why am I doing what I'm doing? You could create a why that is an expression of who. You could then create a what you're up to that fulfills your why, like why you go through all the trouble to do everything you do, that expresses your who. Who's on first base? So I also observe many really great people show up, right? They show up at work, they show up in communities, they show up on their team, and their leadership fails them. I remember as a kid, I loved learning until I got to school. That's a failure in leadership. Listen, I'm smart. I didn't realize that until about 3 years ago. Seriously, I was the problem child. I was behind in school. I didn't like reading. I just assumed I was very average. And it turns out I'm actually kind of brilliant. And I loved learning. And I refused to learn anything until I was like 36, practically. Right? A failure in leadership. I got to school and they were just, I was unsafe, I was ridiculed, I was embarrassed, I was shamed. No, like, hey, here's learning, give it a try, this is awesome. Right? Leadership, by the way, okay, so the focus of this talk is going to be leadership as it relates to managing. Okay, so let me just get a sense of who's in the room. Who manages teams? Who manages people? Okay, so you've got a company or a community or something, literally managing teams. Okay, gotcha. So that's about half the room, I think. Just quick, I just want to quick again, real quick. It's about half the room. Okay, who would like to attract an awesome partner in their business or project? Okay, so that's another type of leadership. Who would you have to be that other people want to do something with you, want to participate with you? All right, so that's most people in the room. And then if you're not in one of those two categories, right, there's something in leadership for you. Whether it's your family, your friends, your current business, your future business, anything that's actually important to you. Right? If you knew who you, if you created who you are and then practice it daily, I'm going to say more about that. Right? Somebody asks you who you are, you have an answer. You know why? Because you created it. You know why? What you're up to sounds awesome? Because you know who you are and you know what you're up to. And you're accustomed to articulating it. Right? And then somebody's out in life looking for somebody kind of like you, and there you are, you know who you are, you know what you're up to, you can articulate it in a way that draws people in. Right? So that's the other kind of leadership, attracting people you want to attract into your life, into your project, like that. All right, so going back to the front of page 1, take a moment and jot down anything that's present for you, anything that's right there for you, and what do you now see is possible in leadership. Regarding the possibility of leadership, what do you see is now possible? Just write down a few things. This is just a process. Wherever you're at is the perfect place to be. Just a few words. I'd like to have a couple people share. Regarding possibility, what do you now see as possible? Yes?
To be creative.
To be creative, yeah. Right. What else?
Passing on my methodologies and my processes.
Passing on your methodologies and your processes.
Thriving business model and
Thriving business model.
that will connect families.
That will connect families. I got it. Go connect right there. Is that it? Oh, yeah, I hear it. Chris.
Being able to listen to people who might know more about something than you do, and bringing all these egos together.
Right? Beautiful. You know, we're pretty smart people, right? We've done a lot. We're all transformed and everything. Guess what? A lot of people know a lot more than you do about a whole lot of stuff. You notice that?
Yep.
Beautiful, Chris. Yes, Laura?
Exponential power of giving and receiving.
Exponential power of giving and receiving. That, I'll be right with you. That makes me think of partnership, right? 2 brains and 2 minds, and you know, we're greater than the sum of our pieces.
2 lights are brighter in the dark than one.
What?
2 lights up right now.
Ashley.
So empowering others
Yeah.
and creating more sustainability.
Empowering others and creating more sustainability for yourself. Yeah. Great. We're going to say more about that. Okay, great. So I want to talk about what happens. I want to talk about the pitfalls that even powerful leaders fall into. The point of this is to identify yourself as a powerful leader. So we're going to come back to that. And then, secondly, to find yourself both in the powerful leader and the person, and the other person. You'll see in a minute. So, one thing that happens, so first of all, people are leaders, yes? Leaders are people. They're really the same thing, okay? People are leaders. Leaders are people. So therefore, leaders encounter the same kind of challenges that people do. We good so far? One of the challenges that people run into is when they're not good, when they're not feeling good, when they're not feeling empowered, when they're not safe, when they're under duress, when they're under pressure, when someone's, you know, cranking on them about something, right? When people are not strong, they're not good, they're not feeling it, they're not in the zone, right? There's a tendency, which I'm going to call power-stealing strategies. This is from a book called The Celestine Prophecy, if anybody's interested.
Oh yeah.
So there's 4 strategies, right? The first one is the intimidator. You come and you bring bad news, kaboom! Anybody ever encountered that?
Yeah.
Very good. Second one is the interrogator. They have a question for you. You absolutely have an answer. But guess what? Wrong answer. Right? It's always the wrong answer. There isn't a right answer because that's the point. That's the point of it.
Exactly.
Right? So going back to the intimidator, you come in with bad news or whatever. They blow up and you start dancing. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do it differently next time. Right? You got it?
That's
And then the interrogator, What about? Oh, well, this, that, and the other. No, and then there you go. The answer, oh, I got it wrong. I got it right next time. I definitely hear you. Right? Then you got the victim. You come in. Hey, they go, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. Everything's falling apart. You need this immediately, or the whole thing's falling apart. Blah, blah, blah. And you go, okay, dance it again. Okay, I'll get right to that. I'm so sorry I upset you, by the way, and I got everything falling apart. I'll get right on it. Or the aloof, you walk in, they don't even see you. You go, hey. And then you start dancing. Hey, I'm really impressive. I did that thing for you, like that, right? Now, from the leader's point of view, remember, this is a leader who's trained, committed, everything's beautiful, except every now and then people have a bad day. Right? They're not feeling their leadership today. Right? And so people have a primary and a secondary strategy. Mine is aloof first when I'm not feeling good, right? If I do not want to be messed with anybody, I'll put the aloof shield up. And really, people pretty much stay away from me. And if people get past that, what they get at that is the intimidator. I can be very loud and scary when I want to be. You have a primary and a secondary, and so does everyone else. Now, here's the problem. We've all experienced, well, let me just ask, has everybody experienced terrible leadership? Has everybody experienced terrible management? What I mean by that is you show up, full heart, open mind, vigor, enthusiasm, and something happens in the interaction, and you just want to go away. That's what I mean by bad leadership or bad management. Okay. So the problem with the energy stealing strategies, one of the main problems, there's a host of them, but one of the problems of the energy stealing strategies, or having a bad day or a bad moment, right, is everybody's had the same experience that you have had of an abundance of terrible leadership and terrible management. So everybody's a little hair triggered, right? And so you can be awesome for a day, and then for just a moment, bless you, for just a moment, you blow up at somebody, and everyone's experience is, aha, I knew it! I knew they weren't the real deal. They're just another, right? And you could be great for a month and have a bad conversation. It's like, knew it. So, with regard to the energy stealing strategies, there really is no, I had a bad day. I wasn't feeling it for a minute. It really doesn't work. Right? So people give themselves permission to have an off moment or something. Oh, well, you know, they said that thing. Okay, well, I got that, but that's not really how this game is played. When you're the leader, you take on I will lead. Well, I will lead. And here's how I'm leading. I'm going to be the real deal. See, when people are unsafe, they withdraw. So if you're managing a team of 100 people, and every one of those people is, let's say, responsible for a quota of $100,000, and you go in and have a fit with somebody, and everybody experiences fear or threat, or everybody withdraws a little bit, and everybody drops in performance by 10%. 100-person team, $100,000 a month, down by 10%, because you had to do the thing. You feeling me? Or you spent 5 years training someone, and they now, thanks to your brilliant tutelage, they now have some idea of what leadership looks like. And then you do the thing. And then you lose that person that you invested all that time in. You get that? So, back to your sheet. What does it look like? Look in your experience, look in your life. What does it look like when leaders are not being responsible for who they are being? Just write down a couple of notes.
You're saying responsible as in like not creating who they're being.
I'm saying responsibility like a responsible leader in my book would not let themselves go off the reservation. Or if they do, now things happen, right? You clean it up like it's the biggest deal in the world. Because it actually kind of is for that person. especially if they care about the team. If they care about what they're doing. It is the biggest deal because their leader just became a victim and just disappeared when they were needed, or were all aloof, like weren't available when they needed, or got all interrogating or got all intimidating when they were needed. Like, hey, I need something. Rah, rah, rah. That's not leadership. That's something else. So if that happens, and it will happen because life is what it is, and people are what they are. Clean it up like your life depends on it. Like your team pretends on it. Like as though you're a professional leader who takes pride in your leadership. Right? I'd like to hear what a couple people wrote down and what does it look like when powerful leaders are not responsible for who they're being. Who's got some point? Yes, Jeanette.
Lack of integrity and lack of boundaries. They don't know who they are, and they're going to attract a team who doesn't know who they are.
Can attract a team who doesn't know who they are, right? If you don't know who you are, you're not going to notice that your whole team has no idea who they are, what they're there for.
Lack of division within the team and lack of respect.
Lack of vision, lack of respect. And I cut you off.
No.
Yeah, lack of vision, lack of respect. Not like.
It looks like chaos and confusion.
Yes. Chaos and confusion.
Dangerous. They destroy themselves and the organization as a whole.
Yeah.
Disempowerment.
Yeah, the reason employees go off and talk badly about their company is this right here. All you got to do is if you did the thing, clean it up, and if you, and just like take it off the menu. Just take it off the menu. And I've got something a little stronger than that. Okay, so hang in there. Yes, sir.
You become the richest man in the world, and then you blow half of it because you want to screw around.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to enjoy watching this.
Okay.
I hope it gets taken to the cleaners.
Okay. Well, we're going to create a different scenario here. Louis, do you still have something? Yes, Laura.
A break in the system and the flow.
A break in the system and the flow, which, by the way, if what you're up to is important to you, that is a big deal. Only if what you're up to is important. If what you're up to is like, hey, whatever, then really not such a big deal. But if your systems are breaking, that's a big deal.
It's a break of the trust and any sense of safety that was there before.
Safety was the magic word. This is a book I wrote on contribution selling. Who's got one? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
They steal ideas and take credit. They lie or pretend to be something they are not. Hence, they're no help to anyone.
They steal ideas. They take credit. They lie.
They just can't help anyone.
They just can't help anyone.
They cannot be the leader because they're too busy pretending to be a leader.
Hear that?
Yeah.
If you're not clear who you are, and you're not clear why you're there, you're really not that much use. Do you know what I mean? You're probably bored. Listen, I've had, I haven't counted, I guess I should. I've had many managers over my career time, and maybe 3 were actually an assistance to what I was up to. And the other number, more than 20 or 30, were literally part of the chain of circumstances that I dealt with on a daily basis to accomplish what I was up to. That is the opposite of leadership in my humble estimation. The humble thing should make you laugh a little bit.
I had one where he would just start rambling on irrelevant topics. I mean, I know more about him than anybody I've ever worked with.
Exactly.
Because he was always talking about himself.
Yeah, and he didn't get what there was to get from you.
And he was a brilliant guy. That's the sad part.
Yeah, this is not about brilliance. It's not about smarts. It's not about commitment. It's about being a human being. Leaders are often under duress and under pressure, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. So if you're on the other side, if you're on the team side, just get it, right? It happens. It doesn't really mean anything. And then, you can support that person any way you feel is appropriate. Yes, sir.
You see, regression and, the exposure of trauma and, unnecessary circumstances.
Yeah. Unnecessary circumstance, regression, and trauma. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Great work. Now, which one of these do you practice? Oh yeah, loud and proud. Come on. Everybody all was excited a minute ago. Yes, sir, Lewis.
Making people wrong, biting their heads off.
Making people wrong, biting their heads off. Come on, loud and proud.
I tend to create chaos in my life because I feel like I do everything and I don't want anybody else Not necessarily.
What's the energy? That's a little different. Okay, what's the energy ceiling strategy? When you're not good, he knows.
Okay.
But don't say it. When you're not good, he knows. He's like, dude, I can tell you right now. Like, wait, don't do that. When you're not good, are you the intimidator, the interrogator?
I'm the intimidator.
Intimidator, yeah. Is that right? Heck yeah.
I think I do the victim sometimes.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, oh, I need you to do this for me.
And there's no freedom over there, right? It's like, oh my God, you're not a dramatic type, but the communication is, do what I ask or else pending doom.
Yeah.
And then there's really no freedom over there. So it's not really a request per se. Yeah. Very good.
I just wanted to circle back, since you go into the 4 strategies instead of just a general what it looks like.
4 strategies, yeah.
Let me check with you. Intimidator, right?
Victim.
What's that?
Victim.
Oh, interesting.
It's the opposite.
Okay.
Victim first, and then
I'm sorry. Intimidator first, victim a second.
Thank you. That's
the first thing right there is
the
and then if I push long enough, boom. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. One more time. Lewis and I have a coaching peer-to-peer kind of relationship, so
we're colleagues. We look into each other's blind spots.
victim first, then interrogator.
What was the first one?
Victim first, then interrogator.
That's you?
Yeah.
Very good. Victim first and interrogator. Got it.
Aloof interrogator.
Yeah. I love it. Who am I aloof? Loud and proud, baby. Start a club. All
right. Project by saying, if you had done this for the organization or for me, then I could feel better about what we're doing or what
Victim.
I'm doing.
Victim. Right?
Yeah, I don't know if what this one is. I just go complete batshit crazy. I'm just so psychotic.
It's probably victim, right? Things don't go your way.
When she says psychotic, it's not far.
Yeah, but see, like that's what a victim does. They don't get what they want. They just fall apart. So therefore, everybody's like, you know. That's where I got it. Everybody's like trying to, you know. Oh my God! Don't say this thing around this person. Well, hey, I already know what their strategy is. Right? Oh, this person will love life. You say this thing. Oh, really? Sure. Watch this.
What's always seeking approval?
That sounds like a victim. The analogy can break down. Okay, that's 30 minutes. The analogy can break down. So just get the flavor of it, right? People, when they're not strong, they revert to something that's unworkable, right? And you can identify it. And if you hear interested in leadership, which I'm just saying yes to, that is the category you're in for the next 45 minutes, 30 minutes, then this is like, you know, tools of your trade. Don't mess with this. Don't mess with who you are in front of your team.
Yeah.
Right? For all kind of reasons. And that's what to get good at. Not manipulating people, not powering over people, not asking the right question and making them whatever. You know, like all that silliness. Right? What would be possible? Okay, back to the sheet. What do you now see would be possible if where you are coming from, instead of the energy ceiling strategies or any place else, literally where you are coming from is a deep desire to contribute. So just whatever's there for you, jot it down. And while you're right there, the next question is, what would that be like for you? Like, what would that literally? What would that be like for you? What would you? How would that feel? What would be running through your head? Like, would you be skipping down Main Street, or you know? What would that be like for you? I'd like to have a couple of people share. Laura.
Laughing, loving, releasing with gratitude, connecting, and uplifting.
See, wouldn't you like to be on her team? No. Listen. I got the joy of it, right? But just look. Say it again.
Laughing, loving, releasing with gratitude, connecting, and uplifting.
Don't you wish she were the leader on the team that you're on?
Yes.
Don't you?
When she's at her best.
Jordan.
I kind of see, I wrote advancements for all aspects because I see it as a fractal. Somebody who's leading is doing all these things and noticing, then that trickles down into everything, every team, the whole product in
It
general.
expands everybody's capacity and consciousness?
Yeah.
Is that,
I feel like, yeah, like the person who's running the show kind of leads a culture or a feeling for that kind of trickles down and is built throughout the business.
beautiful. Hey, guess what? Kid, who's a parent? Who's ever had a parent? Okay, great. Let's make sure I've got the right one. Kids will be who their parents be.
Yes.
End of conversation. Parents can just skip all the conversations. They're just watching.
Yeah.
And if you're a honest, kind of burnt up, they will go that route. And if you're all kind of freaky deaky, they go that route. That's how that is. Guess what? Your team members are the same. They don't care what you say. Do you care what your team leader says? Really? Come on. Really? Come on. Really? Really?
When they tell you what a good job you're doing.
Right. Okay, thank you. Okay, anyway, we got it, right? However, you're paying close attention to who they're being with you, aren't you?
Yes.
Aren't you?
Yes. More than
And don't you kind of log that down, and when you disapprove of something, goes in the tally sheet. And then when they tell you how great you are, of course they had to do that, so it doesn't even really count. I've led a lot of teams. All right. All right, I want to do a really fun, really provocative exercise. Okay? We need to break up into groups of 2, an A and a B. This is casual. Just very quickly find your partner just right now. Just identify your partner, make sure everybody's got a person. There may be one odd person left over. David will handle that. So everybody got a partner. You need a partner. Can we, David? Okay, is everybody paired up? Okay, there's an A and a B. The A is the person born closest to this location. Figure it out, 5 seconds. One. The A is the person born closest to this location. Isn't that fun? You ever heard that one? I have. Oh, you have? You're fired. Okay, everybody listen up. A, who are my A's? Okay, A, I'm talking to you, and we're going to switch. Everybody's going to do everything, all right? So just hang in there. So A, you're going to share about something for 1 minute. Sharing means you speak, and the person is left with what you would like them to be left with. So it's not like a long story, it's not a narrative. The facts and information are not what's important. You want to lead people with an experience. So, A, you share something you're excited about. Oh my gosh, this thing happened. And B, I want you to be excited for them and just be right with them. 1 minute, go. Okay, come on back. Okay, come on back. Come on back. Come on back. Everybody, come on back. Everybody, come on back. Okay, A's. How was that?
Exciting.
Exciting.
Amazing.
Amazing. How was it, A's? How was that? Come on, come on. Super. Exhilarating.
Outstanding.
Vulnerable.
How was it?
I said exhilarating.
Exhilarating. Oh, you said, what'd you say? What'd you also?
I didn't say anything, but it was hard for me. I felt fake.
You felt fake. Okay, I got it. Anybody else have like a negative experience? Fake? Yes? Okay, good. Great. Great. Next piece. A, do exactly what you did. Doesn't have to be the same chair, but it definitely could be, right? Just keep looking for something that actually inspires you. That may be part of the negative impact, right? Just keep looking around, right? B, you're not interested. In fact, you're somewhat distracted. You have low social skills. You don't understand that interrupting is not really something that adults do. You don't really quite get that, right? And you might look at your smartphone because, again, you're not quite all there with social whatever intelligence and so forth, right? Okay, so A, you're gonna share. Rah! I'm so excited about this thing. And B, let it rip. Interrupt whatever you're feeling, right? But you're not interested. Go. All right. Okay, come on back. Which B stops speaking? I don't want to be in confusion. When I say come on back, I'm just stop talking. All right, good. A's, how was that?
Exciting!
It was exciting?
Yes!
It was hilarious.
Too funny.
Too funny? Okay. Uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Awkward.
Go the other way.
Unsettling.
Yeah, unsettling.
Anybody? Okay, what else? Anything? Distracting. Anything new?
Temperature fluctuation.
Temperature fluctuating, right. What else? Boring. Battle.
Yeah. Compressing.
Constraining. Yeah.
Sympathetic nervous system.
Sympathetic nervous system.
Or
I'm sure that
CNS.
means, but sounds terrible.
Challenging.
Challenging. Okay, look how powerful. Yeah, good.
As a B, I felt ashamed. Like,
I was looking for the word shame. That comes up. Shame comes up.
Yeah, as a B, well, I mean, this is probably just me, but it took like real work.
Yes, it took
not
real
to
work.
listen.
It takes real work. Okay, listen. The brain, this part of the brain is divided up into three sections. It's a different conversation. This part of the brain is divided up in three sections. The reptilian brain, the mammalian brain, and the Homo sapien brain. Homo sapien brain, that's the one you're proud of. Thinking, strategy, blah, blah, blah. You like that one. Mammalian brain processes your emotion, bodily functions. Processing your emotions, that's key. Hang on. Reptilian brain. That's the one when the lion is coming out. By the way, human beings out back in the day, 100,000 years ago or something, back in the day, slow and not terribly scary. Not the apex predator. Which means what? If we're not the predator, we are the prey. Right, so being alone is a death sentence. You know why you get freaked out when somebody doesn't agree with you? You know why you get freaked out when someone doesn't approve of you?
Lack of connection.
It's a death sentence. Genetically, evolutionarily speaking, it is a death sentence. We only survive together. That's why we're social. One person has no chance against a lion. 10 people with spears and a little communication, different story. As the leader, right, when you don't listen, you're causing that threat response. I'm going to call that hijacked. When the reptilian brain locks down, the other two brains literally stop functioning, or mostly stop functioning. And look, your ability to process your emotions, think about how problematic that has been for you and everyone else. The ability to think goes to almost nothing. And fun fact, that's when people generally tend to solve their most important problems. When they're hijacked, right? The conversation with the loan officer at the bank, the conversation with your boss, the conversation with your spouse is when both parties are hijacked. You want to know why that's not going well? Common sense. From a particular point of view. So what's the answer? Oh my gosh, what's the answer? Right? Well, invent a way of being that literally lights you up. See, invent a strategy that's yours. Invent a way of being or a strategy or a way to be in the world that produces, oh, I'm proud of how I handle that. You could say that your life is a body of work. And at some point in the future, you'll look back on today, and you'll either be proud of the body of work that your life is, or you will not. I recommend that you be proud of the body of work that your life is. I recommend it wholeheartedly. And I recommend that today's the day to get to work on creating who you are. And then why you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. Anybody with me on that?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Lewis.
So I had an experience recently where I was practicing this, actually. I was the intimidator.
Yeah.
I mean, this is after about an hour and a half of traffic from here to Louisville.
Traffic is a great trigger for these things.
So I get to actually picking up the chairs, and I got really triggered by this guy.
Yep.
And this guy came back and he was like, hey, that did not work. And this is short form paraphrase, right?
Yeah.
There was a bit more
Thank you for that.
going on there.
Yes. That's definitely encouraged.
And then it impacted the people I was renting the chairs from, and so immediately I was like, oh, I wasn't home.
Yeah.
And I apologized and took responsibility with the business renting the chairs from first. And then I went out of my way, because I'm committed to being generous, loving, responsible, attentive in somebody else's world.
Yeah.
And I went back and he wasn't at the table, but I was like, all right, I'm standing right here until he comes back to talk to him, to apologize and to make sure he gets heard and says whatever he wanted to say. And he came down. And it's this real sense of it is a body of work. And if I screw up, when I screw up,
handle it.
Yeah. So that they're left with, and that I think probably.
By the way, those of you who have been in business a while, especially in sales or anything, will know there's this phenomenon called you have a breakdown with a customer and resolve it, and your relationship is better than it was before.
Yes, exactly. That was the result.
That's another opportunity this leadership provides. Hey, I was a total jerk. I blew up at you, and blah, blah, blah. Hey, listen, it's important. It's a big deal for. Oh, it's no problem. It's a problem. It's a problem for me, right? And all of a sudden, they're like, "Who is this guy?" You know, who does that? A leader does that.
You can do that with your kids too.
Yes. By the way, kids are people.
Chris, I work for the hotel business. This guy from Holiday Inns came to us. He said it costs $50 to keep an old customer, and it costs $500 to get one. I am amazed at all these businesses who spend all this money on marketing, and yet they're doing everything they can to piss off the customers that they have.
Well,
and most of them do.
Yes. So sales, in my estimation, is a form of leadership in the sense that leaders have something come into existence that does not currently exist. Managers have something work beautifully that already exists. And a leader is somebody you go to, hey, I need the sales territory over here. And the leader says, cool, I got you. And they do those leadership things that produce something that doesn't exist. You tell a manager, hey, I need that territory to hum like a top. Cool. Managers go do what they do. Both necessary, do you see that? And different. But we're talking today about leadership as it relates to management. Okay? Because I say the best managers are, in fact, leaders. So, of the characteristics that you saw, that you experienced, back in the exercise, right? The A and B exercise. When you were sharing, and the other person was listening, what were the characteristics? What was that like? What were the characteristics that did not work for you? And what were the characteristics that did work for you? Like when they were listening, what about that worked? When they weren't listening, what about that didn't work? Get as specific as you can. Yes, sir.
Well, when she was listening, it's sort of, it was like a boat going down a stream with, you don't need a paddle, right? And then
in the flow.
Yeah, and then when she wasn't listening, I guess I said it was exciting for me because I took it like a challenge or
Right.
an obstacle to get over.
Right.
So like she was leafing through the paper, I was like, yeah, it's like the paper, blah blah. And I just used it.
Right,
You know what I mean? And so whatever she did, I just kept going with it because I was excited.
Right.
So even though it's kind of like I tell clients that I can give 100%. But it's still 50% in the scheme of things. So it works better together. But I'm gonna always do my 100, right?
Right.
And so that's what I was doing. I was like, oh, you're not listening, but I'm still gonna give it like I'll give it. You know?
Yeah. Beautiful. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to share an experience that I had. When I was sharing, and I felt when she was distracted and everything, what I felt was, even though she was distracting herself and everything, I felt like the passion that was coming through me was going to get to her no matter what.
Yeah, like that.
Gotcha. Now, was it easier or less easy when she was? Was there a difference in the ease?
It's not so much easier, but more determined.
Determined. Okay.
Effort.
Yeah.
Effort for itself.
So you make your team work a lot harder to perform when you're not there with them.
Yep.
Listen, there's a deal between team members and team leaders, right? The deal is the team members will perform and do some things, and the team leader will take care of them.
Yes.
That's the deal. Notice you don't have a problem if your boss has the corner office or makes more money if they take care of you.
Right.
When you need them, they got your back. Hey, I got that. Good. And they actually got it. You can go on to your next thing. Right? So that's the deal. So when you don't listen, you're breaking the deal. You get that? And when you do listen, you're modeling extraordinary leadership. How easy is that?
Yeah.
How easy is that?
With cell phones, sometimes it's a challenge because people are just looking at their phones all the time.
And you can work that out. Hey, this is important. Can you put your phone down for a moment? This is going to alter the trajectory of your life. For example, I've got no problem telling somebody that. I do that on a regular basis. If I'm not feeling the correct volume when I'm speaking, I stop the show.
I'll wait.
Hey, what's going on for you? Yeah, no kidding, you're distracted.
He can even hear it without seeing the cell phone distracting someone.
You're the one who's distracted because there's so many things coming to you.
Yeah, get that resolved for yourself. Show up on game day, ready to play.
But every day is game day.
Show up.
Exactly. Listen, if you were a professional athlete, you wouldn't ask that question, right?
If I was a professional athlete, life would be very different.
No, it actually wouldn't. You'd have to perform every single day.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
But for only 2 hours.
No, not really.
No. This is good. No, this is good. This is really good. Okay, so say what you said again. Let's just start from the beginning. Do you mind if we work on it? Sure. Okay, good. So say what you said again. Let's just make sure I got it. Go.
Which part? For only 2 hours?
No, before that, which you started with.
Professional athletes.
What if she would be the one
What if you
distracted?
are the one who's distracted?
What if the leader is the one who's distracted?
Yeah.
So I'm writing a book.
It's blowing up constantly.
Yes, I'm writing a book on leadership right now, and I have a whole section of the book devoted to self-care. It's like Nolly started with a battery analogy, I think. Did you say about that? So listen, consider yourself a smartphone for a minute, and you got a battery. Smartphones do extraordinary things when they're fully charged, yes? And how they perform like at 2%?
Yeah.
Battery life, not as good. So there's practices, there's things that if you want to be a world-class, I got this thing about, I've got a fetish about world-class. To me, it means top 10% in your field, however you want to measure that, right? So do I want to be a world-class leader? What else would I play? I don't even know what else you would do, right? So if you want to be a world-class leader in that sense of, just expanding your leadership as far as it'll go, because why not? Right. Yeah. Then one of the things you would work on is what I call reliability. And reliability is a function of, when it's game time, you're fully charged, you're prepared, you've had whatever conversation you had, you're rested, you're hydrated, you've taken care of your nutrition. If you had a fight, you got it resolved. Like you take care with everything that you're bringing to the court as a matter of practice. Most people don't do that. Most people get in their car, they show up, and they just let it rip. which is kind of why
winging it.
Which is why I have the career that I am. Thank you for your question.
You have to be the calm in the storm.
Yes. And listen, that's what people want. That's what your team members want. They want, when things are not going well, they want to look at you and they want to go, okay, it's going to be right.
Kind of like put on a game day face, you know.
Yeah, but yes, at first.
At first,
but then it's like actually being Drew Brees. Drew Brees doesn't have to pretend to be Tom Brady, you know?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He just shows up and, you know, do what he do. And when you talk about him, when you hear him talk, he'll talk about all of his conditioning and cold water and hot water, nutrition and sleep, and this device and that device to get all the whatever. He's like, his whole life is about being prepared for those 3 hours.
It's also kind of luxury.
I disagree. I say it's a necessity. I say this game, it is the
makes more than any like.
Well, it's less about the specifics and more about the orientation of caring for time of performance.
Preparation.
Sorry.
I don't want anybody to have experience of being beat up on. All right. Beautiful question. And my answer is, it depends. Like, it really depends on the scope of the game you're up to. If you want to be the best leader you can be, one of the first things to do is take care of, you know, who you are, what you are, and how you take care of yourself so that you can show up. You know. And then whatever resources you're dealing with, is to kind of work that out. You know, for me, it's like exercises and YouTube, but it's beautiful YouTube stuff where, you know, leaders that inspire me and enrich me and make me stronger. I'm doing exercises and, you know, whatever. I go for a walk, you know, just whatever, right? None of that costs any money.
Right.
Yeah, so just like you just find things that have you be who you're committed to being, which will get resolved when you create the who that you are from an inspired state, from your best self.
Right.
One more question.
I was just going to say, related to that, if you're in a state of lack in that area of self-care and stuff, that's what leads to the four.
Yes, state of lack. Very good.
Right?
Lack or perceived lack.
Yeah.
Right. With the hijacking, it's threat or perceived threat. If somebody's all hijacking, and you say to yourself, "Well, they shouldn't have felt threatened." Wrong observation, right? They felt threatened. Period. Right. Deal with that. Right. Okay. Beautiful. All right. With regard to what we're talking about, okay. Never mind. Take a card. Take a card and pass them down. 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 You'll have extras. Take a card and pass them down.
I like the paper.
Thank you. I like them too. Take a card and pass them down.
That's my paper's awesome.
On one side of the card, one side of my card, I have written book, course, and call. So I've got a book called, it's a Transformational Approach to Selling, Contribution Selling. I have a book that's a Transformational Guide to Romance, Contribution Romance. They're awesome, they're fun, they're quick reads, very valuable. I get a lot of really positive feedback. I'd like to give them to you. If you'd like a book, just write down the word book. I'll send it to you. Course. I just put together a digital course on leadership. I'm so excited about it. It's so fun. I just really want to get some feedback. I think it'll be tremendously valuable, and will be the completion of this time we spent together. I would love to send you my digital course. If you'd like it, write the word course. I do very powerful one-on-one calls. I call it the challenge call. It's 30 minutes. I promise a new future where you'll be unstuck in an area where you experience being stuck. I deliver. I do not beat you up about business. It's my gift to you. If you would like a call, write the word call. On the other side, write your name, phone number, and email address as appropriate. If I can't read your email address, I will not be able to send you the book and the course. I've had a little trouble with email addresses.
Write neatly.
Right, yeah, just so I can
more legibly than you think you need to.
All right, I want to create a last distinction and give you some. Doing the course, getting the book is your homework. I recommend doing the challenge call with me, right? It'll complete and expand what we're talking about. So if you got something here today, don't let today be the end of it. Now, let's say you create this beautiful thing, like the new who. You create your new who and you're super excited. But you know what? You go back into your life. And you go and see those same people in those same situations. It's easy to lose connection with this beautiful new context for your life that you're at work on. The kind of work that we do exists in language, and language is inherently ethereal. Yes? I say a word and it disappears. I say a word and it disappears. So one answer is when you get to work on creating this is get a coach and let that coach support you. If you're not going to get a coach for whatever reason, super cool, let's talk about your new A-team. Your A-team is a collection of 5 to 10 people who will not put up with your foolishness. They're the people, when you start doing that thing you do, they say, I'm so sick of hearing that. What else you got? And what else you'll have is sharing with them and talking with them about what it's like to begin to complete the old self that you are and create this new self that you are, right? And have a conversation with them where they get value. You want them to take your call next week. If you beat people up all day long, they're not going to take your call, right? So you bring value to your A-team, and then you have a team of people to talk to and confer with and get validated by and to love up on you while you're dealing with this whole idea of reinventing who you are in the world inside of your current life. Most people don't get to just live their life, right? So you got to be in your life with those circumstances and reinventing who you are. That is not a solo sport. Can somebody repeat that? Not a solo sport?
Not a solo sport.
Thank you. Transformation is a full contact sport.
Yeah.
Woo! Transformation is a full contact sport.
Bring it.
Transformation is a full contact sport.
Thank you. Well, you already gave me my book. I'm running out of time. Go.
I was just going to say the A-team has been completely invaluable to me, limitlessly, for the past several years since I first heard about
Anybody who's taken my coaching on that has said something similar to that. Okay, everybody. Yes, sir.
One thing, I'm thinking about Chuck Noll in the 70s and Chuck Noll in the 80s. He used to coach the Steelers. And in the 70s, he had these assistant coaches who would challenge him. But then after he wins 4 Super Bowls, he gets surrounded by a bunch of yes men. And in the 80s, he was kind of a joke. How do you keep from going from having assistants who challenge you to assistants who are just yes men?
Yeah. Wow. Always take on something bigger than yourself. Yeah. Okay. So I've been public speaking forever. It's really easy for me. I've been coaching forever. It's really easy for me. You know what scares me a little bit? Writing books. So I write books. You know what scares me a little bit more than that? Creating courses. I'm creating courses. So I'm expanding, I'm growing. There's nobody around me to go, oh, Kirk, that's the best course you did after 12. No, there's no one, because it's all new. Right, so that's your job as a leader to keep yourself on the cutting edge of whatever's important to you. All right? When I hear new speakers and they challenge me, I like try it on. I'm like the Borg of transformation. If I like it, I take it. Last question.
So does your team help you stay in that sweet spot of continuing to push yourself and grow, but not too much where you fall?
Well, they're not worried about that. They're there to catch me.
And there's an agreement amongst them to challenge me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just not I'm going to treat you like
It's
this.
more of a lovey-dovey kind of thing, like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm doing, like, oh, great job, Kirk, or if it's like, hey, you're doing that thing again, let's talk, whatever, right? And then I leave rejuvenated. They've gotten to contribute to some of the love and care about. And chances are I've contributed to them in the past, so there's that reciprocal kind of vibe.
Accountability.
Yeah.
There it is. Do you want these back?
Yes, I want the cards back.
Making sure.
Blanks can go to David, the filled ones can go to me. Last 10 seconds. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for letting me be myself.
Thank you.
I'm last up.
Bravo. Let me see. Kirk.